There we go. Thank you very much, Steph. So welcome, everybody. It's fantastic to be here. Steph, thank you for having me. And it's wonderful to be a part of this fantastic lineup. So many different people, so many different types of things that you can engage with, learn from, and think, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So fantastic. And like somebody just said, yeah, an absolutely international community. We are, every continent, every country has women and men who don't have children. So, you're part of a group, you're part of a club. Not that we ever wanted to be part of it, but we're part of our own community. So today we're going to be talking about tapping, and we're going to be doing tapping. As Steph said, if we've got time for questions, possibly as we go, if they're simple, and I might ask you some questions and you might want to respond. But again, if you have questions, I do want to leave some time at the end for that. So don't think that you haven't got a chance to ask a question. And also things might pop up, you might have no questions now, and in 40 minutes think, oh yeah, I've got questions. So just absolutely go with the flow, and I'll do my best to answer them, possibly more at the end, because as we get into the tapping, it's going to be a real session, like a real live therapy session. So has anyone here, and I'm going to test the technical stuff now, has anyone here heard of tapping or done some tapping? So a no, yep. So that's good. And a yes. So we've got a variety already. And another yes, that's great. Yes, you'd have panic attacks in the past. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Tapping is so good. Yeah, you've done it, but don't know exactly what it is. And we're going to address that, because I think the more you know about what tapping is, why it works, how it works, the more benefit you'll get out of it. So we're not just going to launch straight into tapping. I'm going to take you through it so you get a really full, deep understanding. So yes, so that's great. So people are familiar, which is brilliant. And this will be a refresher if you haven't done it for a while. So, and that's great. That means that the responses work, because as we go through, I might say, what did you feel? How was that? So absolutely talk with me and we'll go through everything together. So tapping, before I start that, should I say I am a massage therapist, a tapping practitioner, and a Reiki master. Before that, I've had different jobs. I'm Australian, but I live in the UK. I always thought I was going to be a mum. I just assumed that would happen. So I spent my 30s trying to conceive, my 40s grieving. And when I was approaching 50, I'm 55 now, I thought, I don't know if I want to just keep carrying this grief. And grief was part of my life, because not having children was horrible. You know that. You know how painful, how awful, how horrible, how isolating, how devastating it is. And so, yeah, I've been through that as well. But when I was thinking, is this how the rest of my life is going to be, with all this, the grief, the heaviness, the sadness, the reactions, I didn't know how I wanted things to be different. I couldn't say, right, well, now I want to transform into a person who's going to have X, Y, Z, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, I'm going to find meaning here, and all of that. It wasn't simple like that, and I don't think this journey ever is. But I did know that I just didn't want to feel, yeah, exactly. What you say sounds just like I felt. Exactly. That is just the oomph of it all, the sadness, the heaviness, and just not having that in your life is a path to freedom. Now, tomorrow there is a webinar about, really finding what the future could be like. This session isn't about that. It's just about finding, getting rid of some of that heaviness, that tension, that sadness, that automatic reaction, so that you've got a bit of space to then think, maybe there is something else that could come into my life. And when we don't need to even think about that now. That's not how tapping works. Tapping is all about identifying, shifting, and releasing the beliefs that are holding us down. You can tell I'm I work with the body, real physical stuff, but you'll feel it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, that heaviness, that churning in the stomach, that weight on the shoulders, that, lump in the throat, that ache in the heart, all of that can lessen, and it does lessen. Yeah. So that's the real exciting part about, just get over it. No, it doesn't work like that. And we can heal. And grieving, as Jodie Day will say, you got to do the grief work. Grieving is hard. Grieving is tiring. It's exhausting. But it is also a healing process in itself. So, if you take anything away from this, you'll take the tapping away, and that would be really, really good. It's the idea, though, that go through the grief, go with the grief, let the grief be that healing process. Even though it sounds, depending where you are in your journey, it can be really hard. It can be, but then to not have to carry all of that grief forever, sometimes we have to put a little bit of work and effort into them. Right. Okay. So tapping, what is it? It's described as an energy psychology. It's described as, it's so hard, triggering in a challenge. Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting carried away now. It's like we're chatting. Tapping is really good for reducing the reaction to triggers. Those triggers are always going to be there. There's always going to be prams, pregnant women, christenings, baby photos, people talking at work, family members. Those triggers are always going to be there. Your reaction to those triggers can be less. And when you're not having the automatic energy of, oh, here we go, another one, when you might just go, oh, right. That difference, that level of difference between and gives you so much more power and freedom and space for something else. So sometimes it's measured in degrees, but do you imagine if you didn't react to the triggers in the same way, how much more lighter would your life be? So I'm not saying that you're going to walk around going, oh, isn't that amazing? Look at all those babies and pregnant women. It's not about that. It's about not having that awful, soul-destroying, day-destroying reaction to those triggers. So that's what tapping does, changes the reactions. So yeah, energy psychology is the modern word. It's based on the ancient wisdom of acupuncture points. So you've probably all heard of acupuncture, and perhaps you've heard of acupressure, which is again accessing the same points on the acupuncture meridians, but without the needles. So tapping is also described as acupuncture without needles. Where it works, how it works is there's about 350 different acupressure points throughout the body. With tapping, we use a small handful, just a minority of those, but they work on different emotions, and we're actually getting in and disturbing, and this is the great thing, disturbing, changing the energy that runs through the body from the mind through to the body. So you know how you're walking along and you see a trigger, so we all know what sort of triggers they will be, and you get a reaction. Your rational mind has not decided to go, oh, I think I'll make myself feel sick to the stomach, have a churning, nauseous feeling in my tummy, get a knot in my throat, make my shoulders ache, make me want to cry. Your rational brain's got nothing to do with it. It's the subconscious mind. And that subconscious mind, the same as if you went to use your muscles to pick up the glass of water, you just do it automatically. Your body is now programmed after years of patterns to create the same response. It's a fear response, and that's because the triggers are a fearful sight for you. So the triggers are still going to stay there, but if we can change the reaction, your subconscious mind doesn't produce the same intensity of reaction. That's the great thing. So yeah, it's based on a modern understanding of an ancient wisdom. So it's really nice that it's combining the two, the body and the mind. So how it came about was in the 70s, so before the internet, and when things were published in journals and, took time for ideas to disseminate around the world, a psychologist was working with a client, and he wasn't having much success or progress with the client. And he'd heard about acupressure working on different points of the body and how they were relevant to different emotions. So again, this is a clinical psychologist taking information and learning from another modality, but ancient wisdom has been around for centuries. And I think the Western world is starting to and Western medicine starting to realize that maybe there's something in that. So he did some experiments with a client and he called it percussive acupressure. Now, percussive, as you may know from percussion, is a rhythmic beating. And so if you imagine this psychologist said, okay, well, let's try some rhythmic beating, rhythmic acupressure. And that's what he called it. And he wrote an article and published in a scientific journal. Then several months later, as these things happen, now it would be 48 hours later on social media. And I must tell you this, I read in a novel the other day, if you are rich in social, if you have lots of social media followers, it's like being rich in Monopoly. And I thought, oh, that's a good quote. I thought I must share that with you. So sorry for the interruption, but yeah, rich in Monopoly. Anyway, things do get shared quickly on social media, and that's good too. So this second psychiatrist had read the scientific journal, and he also had a client that he was struggling to deal with a phobia about water. Now, I apologize if anyone's got phobias about water here, but he'd been working with this client for many, many months and talking, i.e. getting the rational brain into gear and talking about the rational brain wasn't working. And we know that, as someone has just said, we're told to get over it. Well, of course we want to get over it, but how do we do that? So the rational brain is not really in control of our body. It helps us with a lot of decision making and keeping us safe. Great. But it's the subconscious mind that actually is more powerful. So this second psychiatrist decided that because he tried a lot of things, he would give this percussive acupressure a go. What had he got to lose? So he started working with this woman on various tapping points. Don't worry about these points because we're going to go through them. If you don't know what they are, doesn't matter. You will know by the end of the session. So he started going through, and the woman involved, the client, had such a radical response. Her phobia was water, and the psychiatrist had a swimming pool in his back garden. Basically, the client got up and jumped into the swimming pool and didn't feel nauseous. So all the work they'd been doing, talking, hadn't really accessed a part of the body and the mind that needed to be accessed. And so from there, that psychiatrist then started developing, working with others, thinking, what is in this? Why is this working? And so that was in the early 70s, and it's basically been developed from there. There are numerous scientists, biologists, everyone involved at a very practical, physical, scientific level. There's, I won't bore you with all the details, but tapping, and really the idea of tapping into can change the body at a molecular cellular level. And that's what we want, so that you're not getting the same reaction to the triggers. On one hand, that sounds really simple. And why shouldn't it be too good to be true? We're physically changing the body's pathways and neural pathways that we have. Why can't we? So does anybody have any questions so far? Or are you all sort of okay with the idea of where it's come from, that it's been developed? It's not just been plucked out of the air by one person. It's been around for a while and then come through. Yes, again, the more you learn about why it works, the more you can see it working in your life and having an impact. Yeah. Okay, so great. So that's the history of how it came about. And it's, you may have seen people tapping, like on YouTube, you've seen them tapping on various points and doing things like that. And that's all great, that works. It's physically working with the neural pathways in your body to change patterns. So again, a neural pathway is the muscle units contract to pick up this glass of water. I don't have to think about it. They just do it. And you've had the same neural pathways creating that, churning in your tummy. So all we want to do is identify the fears around that, the beliefs around that, so that we can say, actually, those beliefs about how I need to react to a trigger, I don't need to have those beliefs anymore. And that's how we change the neural pathways. Okay, so again, my only query at this stage, does it express the emotions rather than release? No. That's the good thing. So this is where tapping is different to, say, hypnotherapy. Hypnotherapy is great. I've had it, lovely. It's really relaxing, really calming, and you can see the benefits. It doesn't actually get rid of the underlying fear, belief, issue causing the reaction. And it's the same thing. We do not want to suppress the emotion. We want to access the emotion. We want to access what you're feeling so that we can get underneath what is that fear or belief. And the belief with childlessness might be, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough because I don't have a child. And so if we can look at that belief and go, well, actually, where did that come from? Why is that true? If we can change that to say, well, actually, I'm worthy as a person. I've got my whole life ahead of me. I've got so much to offer, whether it's just myself or the world. Right, that's a question here about taking less painkillers. I'd like to deal with later, if that's okay. So, yeah, we're not suppressing the emotion. We actually really, really want to recognize it. So you've heard me say two things now, fear and belief. So fear can create all sorts of things. And this is where in a general session like this, I would love to, if we were one-on-one, we would go straight to what is the emotion that you're feeling. But again, why not? If you're happy, pop the emotion down and maybe think, where do you feel that? And we'll do that as part of the tapping session as well. But I just wanted to give you a bit more information about it. Excuse me, I'm just going to take a sip of water. Yeah, but it's definitely about acknowledging, identifying those emotions, not suppressing them at all. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. One of the wonderful aspects of tapping. Okay, so that's, I think, quite a lot for the history. That shows you what's going on. It's in a very brief nutshell. I could talk much more about it, but we do want to do some tapping. So what we're going to do now is, I think Steph made sure you've all got a glass of water. Excuse me. As we actually tap and start disturbing the tissue, you might find that you can become a bit dehydrated because your body, when it's physically changing, your body absorbs all the natural moisture that you've got. So we do want to stay hydrated when we're tapping. Now, the question was just asked about painkillers. Can tapping take less painkiller? Tapping result in taking less painkillers? On one hand, pain is a separate issue. Pain is, where is the pain? Is the pain in the brain or is the pain in the tissues? One thing that tapping does is reduce the cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So even if you were to not put anything in the chat today, not participate 100%, whatever, you're going to get some benefit because by tapping on the points, we're going to reduce any cortisol levels you have in your body. Now, cortisol and stress can intensify, magnify pain. But again, when we get a pattern, and all our life is made up of lots of patterns. When we get a pattern, oh, this has happened, I'm in pain, I need a painkiller. How much of that pain is in the body and how much of it is in the brain? There's lots of different receptors that go on. You can have damaged tissue and no pain. You can have pain without any damaged tissue at all. So pain is a very interesting, almost completely separate topic to this. Now, obviously, I am not a doctor, so I can't say, oh, just tap and you don't need to take your painkillers. I'm not saying that at all. And it's worth talking to a pain specialist about that. But anyway, if we've got time at the end, I'd love to talk more about that. So what I'm going to do now is show you the tapping points. And I'll do this a couple of times, so don't think, oh no, I've got to remember it all. It will all fall into place. So we're working on the energy meridians as well. Different parts of the body have different, produce different energy patterns and whatnot. So most of the time, we're going to be working with the pad of the finger there, about there. Okay. Now, the tapping points are microscopic. So say for the third eye, you may have all heard of the third eye in yoga, or it's a point here between your eyebrows. When you point with my finger's about 1 centimeter or bigger, when we tap here, you're going to be hitting the point. So you don't need to worry too much about, oh, am I on the right point? Tapping is very forgiving like this, and the body knows where you're trying to go because you've got that intention. Also, tapping is, you might think, oh, I want to tap right there. Oh, Lana's got it up here, but it feels better when I do it there. Absolutely, go where it feels right on your body. We've all got different facial structures. We've all got different lengths of hands, fingers. So just do what feels right. And by the time we've done a few rounds, that will make more sense because you think, oh yeah, I prefer doing it there than there. Okay. So it's very forgiving. You're going to hit the spot. So, right. So how we start is between the wrist and the little finger, 3 fingers, and we just start tapping on the side there. I'm not making any statements at the moment. This is just the physical tapping points. We just tap just very lightly, and it's not fast. Some people think, oh, I'll get more out of it if I go really fast and get more tapping points, but that might actually increase the cortisol, and we don't want that. This is very calming. No, do you only get the benefit of tapping when you're experiencing unhelpful thoughts and emotions? No, you can. I mean, that's one of those, it's a bit of a long answer. You can tap all the time. Tapping is very good for enhancing positivity, but you want to make sure you're enhancing the right thing. Yeah. So again, let's get through a few rounds and then come back to me later in the session with something a bit more specific, and we'll see if we can work on that. Okay. So we've done, this is the first point. This is called side of the hand. Then we move to the top of the head, and it's literally where your crown is. So the highest part, if you were pulling a string up, it's that. And I'm using 3 fingers. You could use 1, you could use 2. As long as you're hitting a nice spot that feels nice for you, that's the right spot. Now we move to the third eye. So I'm just holding my fringe out of the way. You don't need to, but you can see I'm covering quite a wide area because it feels nice to tap into that whole area. I could just use 1 finger. I could use 2. And you could use 4 if you like. There's loads of acupressure points in the face. So it's going to benefit. But if that feels too awkward, let's use 1. Now we move to the sides of the eyes. So this is sides of the eyes there, out there coming onto the temple. I also wear glasses. So sometimes I just literally put my glasses up like that and just do that. I've taken my glasses off just for today, but if you do wear glasses, it's fine to keep them on. Now we move to under the eyes. So it's on the cheekbone, under the pupil. So you don't want to be out here and you don't want to be next to the nose. You want to be under the pupil, on the cheekbone. And the next point is under the nose. Yeah, and I'm definitely just on 1 finger now. So it's just under the nose. And again, each finger will give off a different connection with the skin of the body. So play around with if you prefer 1 finger rather than the other. Now we're going to come down to below the mouth. So we're not on the chin. If you can see, there's my chin. I want to be just in that divot between, under the lip and between the chin. So it's not the chin, and it's just in there. Lovely. And they're all the facial points. They're all nice and simple. Now we've got 2 points on the torso. I'll just move my laptop ever so slightly, and I might need to stand up to show you one of them under the arms. Now, this is where ultimately the point you're looking for is here. It's where you've got your collarbone here and your sternum, if you know that, the breastbone. It's about 3 or 4 centimeters on most people, but we're all different. So yours could be 5 centimeters, yours could be 2 centimeters. The way to find it is find your collarbone. So there's knobbly bits up there, then drop down about 3 or 4 centimeters, 2 inches or so. Now we're going to find the left tapping point. So put your right hand over on the left chest. So there's the middle, there's the breastbone. I'm just to the left of that. Now swing your left arm around in a big circle, and you should start feeling under here something like this, something moving under the skin, or, if you feel something, you go, oh, what's that? And that, where you can feel that, you may need to move around like that. As I said, everybody's physically, structurally a little bit different. Just keep moving till you find that. Do you feel that you've found a point where you can feel the muscle moving under the skin? Then bring your left fingers back to that, and that is your left tapping point. So just tap on that just to get familiar with it. You can see there's my breastbone. So it's about 4 centimeters or so down, and it's down from the collarbone. Is everyone happy with that? I think we'll move on to the right-hand side. So now this is the right side of my chest. Yes, lovely, thank you. So again, the right side of the chest is here. So I move my left hand onto the right side, circle your right arm so that you can feel that muscle moving underneath the skin. And again, if you need to move around with a flat hand to find that feeling, just do that. This is your body. And when you find that spot, again, bring the right fingers back here, tap on that just to get familiar. And then bring the left hand back. And that is known as under the collarbone point. I mean, it could be the pectoral point, but in tapping, it's under the collarbone. Right, so that's the most complicated point. So once you've got that, it's fine. And so now the next point, still on the torso, is basically, I'll just angle my laptop. It's basically under the arm, but in line with the breast, in line with the nipple. So for women, it's where the bra strap is. Now, as I said before, we've mainly used the finger pads, but sitting there like that is a little bit awkward. So what you're going to do now is use this long part of your finger, that inside fleshy bit, and you're going to go down that point like that. Keep your shoulders nice and relaxed, because if you're a little bit tense or stressed, you don't want to be, trying to tap like that. So just have a really nice, relaxed, easy swing with the length of the fingers, and you'll feel it down there. Or alternatively, if that works for you, that's fine. So they are the 2 most complicated points. Now we come back to the hand. So we're basically going to do the wrist and each finger. So we're more than halfway through the points, and we'll go through them again, and you will be quite familiar. So there's lots of acupressure meridians that run down the wrist. So rather than just try and get one, we're going to use the full length of the fingers to hit that wrist. And it doesn't matter if you've got jewelry on, doesn't matter which hand you do it on. Again, tapping is quite forgiving, and you'll know where it feels right. Do you want to do it up here? Do you want to move down a bit? Where feels right on your body? So now we're going to move on to the fingers. So have a habit of saying my recall is very bad. Oh, yes. Sayings. Yeah. We'll come on to that in a second, Jean, because if you imagine everything you think and say to yourself is true, then if we say my recall is really bad, your recall is going to be bad. If we say my recall is really bad at the moment, what does that do? Does that open up a possibility that at another moment it might not be the same? It's exactly what we do in tapping, opening up the mind to different possibilities. Yeah. And so this is getting on to the verbal part of tapping. So yeah, you're right on the money there, as they say. So we've done the wrist. Now we're going to tap on each. Yeah, is tapping good for digestion? Absolutely. Now, when we tap, we're reducing that cortisol in the body, which is really good. If you've heard of the fight or flight or freeze, it might be when you can't do anything. The opposite of that is rest and digest. That's your parasympathetic nervous system kicking in. You go, yeah, I'm a bit calmer. I can rest and digest. You can digest food. You can digest new ideas. So the idea that if you're tapping and your tummy is starting to gurgle, making digestive noises, that is your body being physiologically, which is mind and body, entering the state of relaxation. So any tummy noises or gurgles in any kind of body treatment are fantastic. So this is where, again, the rational brain is not in charge. You haven't decided, I think I'll move my parasympathetic nervous system from a state of, heightened awareness to a little bit more rest and digest. Your body has just done it for you, because that's what our body does. So it's exactly the same. It's had a response. So fantastic. So go with the gurgly noises. They are really good, because also a healthy digestion system is really good for the brain as well, really good for the whole body. So that's really good. What I'm going to do now is show you the tapping points for the fingers. So I've got this pen here, and this is my right hand. Again, you can do it either side. You can swap over hands. It doesn't matter. So where I'm going, imagine I've got my palm facing downwards. Now with my thumb, I'm going to tap on the inside corner where the skin and the nail meet. If I do it with the pen there, that's right in there. That's where I'm tapping, where the nail bed and the skin meet. So imagine it's like that. And it's with my right hand, imagine it's the southwest corner. And I'm going to do that on exactly the same place as every other finger. And if it was on the left hand, it would be the southeast corner. It's basically, with your palm facing down, it's the corner of the nail bed closest to you. But also tapping here like this, after a while, that might feel a bit awkward on your shoulders and whatnot. So just rest your hands in your lap or the table or whatever is comfortable for you, and just know that it's that closest corner to the middle of your body with your palm down. But you can do it then while your hand is up. If your hand's resting in your lap, it'll look like that. Right. And so then after we've done the hand, the wrist, the hand, we come back to the starting point. So it's like a circle around of tapping. We finish where we start, which is here on the wrist point. So what I'm going to do now is just go through that again, and we go at a nice relaxed pace, not too fast, not too slow. We want to tap on each point at least, say, 7 times to really make a good effect. And then once we're doing that, we start putting in statements, and that's where the real powerful work happens. And that's the modern psychology part of tapping, how it meets the ancient meridian. I can't say science, because science is a technical word, understanding. Okay, so for all tapping rounds, we would start just on the side of the hand, do about 7 points, move to the crown. We move to the third eye. It's just nice and relaxed, a light pressure, side of the eyes, nice and calming, under the eyes. Does reduce stress, under the nose. And this tapping you can use anywhere. Under the lip. You could be in a meeting and do some tapping on your hands or fingers under the desk or on a Zoom call. Now we do this under the collarbone point. This is a really good point for grief. So some of you might find that this point gives you more than other points. Just go with that. It's always nice to do a whole round. You don't have to do a whole round. Very forgiving as a therapy modality. We do under the arms. So yeah, you can see I'm just under there where the bra strap is. Then we move to the wrists. And just a nice gentle tap. And then each finger point. And then the index. And the middle. And the ring. Technically, there isn't an acupressure point on this finger in this position, but we do it just to keep the sequence going, so you don't think, oh, which finger was I meant to miss out on? It's just nice and easy. And we finish where we started. And for some reason, I always end my round of tapping going like that. It just feels right to me. You do not have to do that. Do whatever feels right. But let's have a sip of water. Because we're physically changing the body now. We could be opening up tissues. We want to keep that hydration. Now, we haven't started any talking about any emotions or triggers or anything, but how are you feeling after just that nice little round of tapping? How does that feel? Anyone would like to make a comment? More relaxed? Yeah, more relaxed. Yeah, yeah. And lighter, exactly, because we physically carry more relaxed too. Yeah, we carry all our emotions in our body. Good, fine, excellent, yep, great. If we can get rid of the imprint and the present, wonderful, yes. Again, getting rid of stuff that weighs us down then gives us space to bring more things in. Something to focus on and being present. Absolutely. Yeah. And taking the time out to come to a webinar and be part of World Childless Week is a really way of being present. Wonderful. Yeah. So yeah, feeling lighter. Wonderful. So what we're going to do now, if anyone would like to volunteer how they feel when they feel triggered, or if I could use some examples that are very general. So on one hand, like someone mentioned before, to just suppress emotions. No, we want to work on those emotions. So how I'd normally work is to say to someone, think of a situation where actually you're not feeling relaxed, you're not feeling lighter, you're actually, it's all the bad stuff going on, because it's the bad stuff we want to work with. The good stuff, it will come, but we've got to get rid of the bad stuff first. So does anyone, if I said, oh, think of a trigger that you've had in the last week, jealousy and envy, why not me? Absolutely. And yeah, feeling sadness in my heart, panic in my stomach, all of that. Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go with these feelings. If you've not said that right now, it doesn't matter. You're going to benefit from the tapping that we're doing. Unworthy. Oh, yeah. See, my heart is reaching out to all of you. Less of an adult. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that. Broken. I know it's just awful, isn't it? Yeah. Awful. But that doesn't need, these feelings that you're having right now do not need to define the rest of your life. Yeah. and stuck. Yeah, all that stuckness, it gets stuck in our tissues, and it feels like our brain and our body can't move. Okay, so thank you for all those absolutely genuine responses. So now we're going to tap. And as you know, your microphones are off, so feel free to say this out loud if that's comfortable for you. If that's not comfortable or you're not used to that, just say it in your head, okay? So what I'd like you to do is repeat after me. Even though I've got all this nausea in my stomach at these feelings of being unworthy and less of a person, even though I've got all these awful feelings in my stomach and all these emotions right now, I am allowed to honor, cherish, and love myself. All these feelings of pain and stuckness, all this nausea in my tummy, all these emotions of being broken and unworthy. All the pain and sadness and grief. All the heaviness and stuckness that I carry every day. All the jealousy and envy that I feel. All that jealousy that gets me right in my heart. I can't stand seeing photos of women and babies. It makes me sick to my stomach when I see what I haven't got. It's so unfair that this has happened to me. It's not how I planned or wanted my life. And now I'm stuck with all these awful feelings forever. Do I have to be stuck with all these awful feelings forever? What will happen if I let go of some of my grief? What will happen if I don't want to feel this way forever? Let me be curious about that. I've taken a breath. I'm going to take some water. Now, if you care to share, how does that make you feel? The lady who had the nausea in the stomach, the lady who had the jealousy and envy, the stuckness. How do you feel now? If you feel like sharing, vocalizing, or someone else might want to share? Brought tears, yeah, absolutely. Tears are part of it. Emotional, relax, yeah, emotional. Yeah, and this is where we don't want to suppress. We want to get those emotions out. Yeah, okay. Has anyone found a new pain or area of discomfort? I was especially moved by the end of the form heart. Yeah, I do. It's a nice wrap. It's just I feel like I want to do it. Yeah. So the emotions, where do you feel the emotions in your body? Because emotion can be a feeling, can be a thought, and we also want to focus on where you feel that in your body. So can anyone feel that? It's at their heart, their chest, their throat, stomach, chest. Yeah, okay. And so the thing about tapping is that the energy you feel in your body, sternum, yeah, the energy that you're feeling in that area, chest and stomach, is the response from the brain and the subconscious brain reacting to a fear. And at some point in your life, you may have had something else going on. You may have been smaller and had a fright, or interesting chronic pain normally is, yes, this is that pain, Kathy. Yeah. So previously in your life, yes, something may have occurred and it was a fright or it was an upset, and your body worked out a pattern that, oh, when fear and upset happens, we need to do this to get you out of that area, you know, that immediate danger. So it's like the tiger in the fight and flight. Your body developed a response, and then the next time you, and that could be crying to get someone's attention, freezing because you don't know what to do, being unable to speak. It can be various things. We've all got different reactions. The next time you encountered a fearful situation, it could be getting something as, you know, simple as being told off. It could be something as traumatic as a car accident. Trauma covers a very wide range of events. Trauma is not just limited to, you know, incest, rape, abuse, car crashes, death of parents. Trauma occurs at many, many different levels and leaves an imprint. And so when you have a traumatic event, your body goes, this is what we did last time. We froze you and we sent everything to your stomach because it was important to keep the blood flow. And you freeze and you have that reaction. And over time, your body has repeated this pattern. And so now you see a trigger, it's a fear, and your body does that. And that's why it moves to different areas. So now we're going to focus on that. If you've had an area that you can feel is a bit more strong, we want to look at what's the size of that feeling, what's the color, what's the location, the texture. So it could be in your throat, you have a rope colored knot. It could literally be like a knot. It could be someone holding your throat, could be a blue marble. In your sternum area might be a weight or someone pushing, or it could be, you know, heavy fabric cloak pulling down. In your stomach, it could be, you know, like a washing machine churning. It could be a brown muddy lake. Do any of these descriptions with color and texture, do they resonate with you? Can you feel that? Because emotions we can feel up here, but we can also feel those emotions in the physical body. And that's where tapping, yes, so you can feel it, yeah. So that's where tapping is really good at honing in on that. And again, we're not suppressing anything. We want to go right into it. So for this next round, if you can really think of the size, the location, the color and texture of where the emotion is, that would be really helpful. So it could be this, you know, big red ball, flaming ball of anger, this in my stomach, this dark, heavy knot of sadness in my throat, whatever it feels like for you. I mean, I had one male client who said, yeah, I've got a black Darth Vader helmet really pressurizing my head. And so we tapped on this black Darth Vader helmet crashing, crushing in the head, whatever works for you, because it's your energy and your reaction. So now we're going to tap on that again. And if you're not feeling those things, that's fine. Join in. You're going to benefit from just getting that reduction in the cortisol, feeling relaxed. Who doesn't want to feel relaxed in today's busy life? Okay, so here we go. Repeat after me. Even though I've got this size, color, texture, emotion, location, I'm allowed to love, honor, and cherish myself. This size, color, location, texture, emotion. All the pain that I'm feeling with this size, color, location, texture, emotion. It wears me down. It's so heavy. It's so exhausting having all these feelings. I get so emotional. All I wanted was to be a parent. Is that really too much to ask? How can I possibly have a decent life without being a parent? There's no way I can enjoy the rest of my life without a child, is there? Is there? I've grieved. I'm in the middle of my grieving. I'm starting my grief. Grieving is a healing process. That doesn't help me right now. Grieving is a healing process. Perhaps that could help me. I don't want to be weighed down by this anymore. How could I possibly let go? Is it really possible to let go of these feelings? What does it say about me if I let go of my grief and sadness? If I find a bit more lightness in my life, does that invalidate my grief? If I don't have my grief and my sadness, what do I have? If I don't have my grief and my sadness, what do I have? Whose permission do I need to let go of my sadness, my stuckness? I have the rest of my life ahead of me. I don't want to always feel these feelings. If my mind believes everything I think and say, how do I feel when I say that I could feel different about childlessness in the future? I don't need to even believe that just yet, but I can be curious. I don't have to be sad forever, do I? Who says I have to be sad forever? I've done my grief. What can I find in my life now? Let me be curious. Take a breath. Take some water. And how are you feeling? Did any feelings of the tension that you had, did they change? Did they increase, decrease? Did the discomfort in your body move around? Lighter and tired. Yeah. And tired is actually really good, unfortunately, because it shows that your energy is changing. That's your body physiologically changing as a result of the tapping. So, sorry, not sorry, but that's good. That's good. And give yourself an opportunity to rest now. You've got another hour before the next session to really just go with that. Unexpected cry. I didn't think I was sad. Yes, because sometimes the emotions, they're just sitting there. They're there all the time. We have these triggers. So I'm not going to apologize for the tears, because the tears are good. And the more we can get them out, then the less damage we're doing to our body health-wise. Yeah. It just shows that it's there. Yeah. Anybody else starting to feel lighter? Thoughts and feelings start to move around a bit. That's great. That's great. And that's why I suggested that you might want to bring a journal or a notebook, because you've got time now to maybe start exploring. I'll come back to that, Colin. Definitely less butterflies. Great, great. Really red until the eyes, pulsing red going up the breastbone colour. Yeah. Yep. All of that is changing. Yeah, just maybe start writing those thoughts. It might be one word. It doesn't have to be the rest of your life. Tapping isn't about finding what to put in your life. Tapping is about what to take out of your life, so that there's more room for you to discover what you want to put in. And feeling lighter and getting some words and thoughts is a fantastic start. Now, Colin, you just asked me a question, and with my menopause memory, which I'm working on, I can't quite remember, but it was a really interesting question. And in the 1 minute we've got left, I'd love to answer that. Could you type it in there again, please, Colin? Sorry to ask you to do that, but it was a really good question. Beautiful, emotional tears flowing. And yeah, and let them flow, let them flow. And maybe journal now. And I think the webinar is probably coming to an end. Colin, seriously, if you can pop up your question again, I'd love to answer it as quickly as I can. I'm just conscious of the technical stuff. Thank you, no problems. I think, I said no because of the hand tapping you've shared in the past. I've lost Colin's question. Lost Colin's question, but yeah, now that was it. It was about, do you make the statements? You can make statements to yourself. Sometimes you're not sure where to start. So you even go, I really don't know what to say when I'm tapping, sitting in my living room. I don't know where to start. Oh my goodness, I don't know where to start. I just know that I don't want to feel like this. So yeah, I mean, ideally you want to be tapping on the size, color, size, color, texture, location, and emotion. You want to be tapping about that because it's really honing in, yeah, which is really good. And yeah, so tapping without statements does work, because as we did at the beginning, sorry, I'm just on a webinar. Okay, yeah, okay, for 1 moment. Sorry, I've got a client here now. I'm so sorry. Yeah, tapping works on many different levels. That's all I would say. Find yourself someone who can really show you how to tap into what's going on. Yeah, and sorry, Steph, I think I'm going to have to wrap it up now. But I really hope that, yeah, you've got something out of this. Life can change. It doesn't need to be the way this. You don't need to keep that stuckness. That pain, that grief doesn't need to stay. Yeah. So that they're absolutely guided tapping motions. Say all the words right. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, I'm sorry. I always go longer than I expect because there's so much to do with this. So thank you very much. Yeah, it was lovely to be here. I'm really glad that you all got something out of it. Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to say goodbye now. Steph might stay on, but if it's all right, okay, thank you. Yeah, really glad you all enjoyed it. Got some